Michael.
Well, it's an exciting time to be down here and to talk to you. It's the business end of the season, as the cliche goes, and you've just finished your training session. How did the team do?
It was a good session. Boys were all buzzing, obviously, and everybody's looking forward to Saturday. Good work ethic about it is business as usual.
And no injury concerns ahead of the game?
No, I mean, we had a couple of people during the week with sort of COVID symptoms and stuff like that, but we commented the players tonight. They know everybody wants to be involved in Saturday.
Yeah, well, I think Anto's looking alright. He was out wearing the shorts tonight, so obviously not one of the ones suffering the symptoms.
No, big man's harder than that.
The 3 points at Banbridge would pretty much wrap the league and promotion up very nicely, and it looks attainable. So is that the mentality, go out and win the match?
Yeah, everybody knows that the league title is there as the carrot and the incentive. But first and foremost, it's go out and win the game. That's been our ethos the whole season, and we've really refocused recently on that. Go and win the game, and whatever that brings at the end of it, that's okay.
And who would have thought when you took over at Carrick Rangers that we'd be sitting having this conversation now, potentially a double on the cards? It's an extra pressure. Has that affected your way of thinking at all?
I think everybody around me is sort of shown all sorts of pressure, and my family, you're not nervous and stuff like that. Yeah, it's not my job to be nervous about those things.
Sure.
Need to be very calculated and very methodical about my preparation. It's for others to maybe be nervous, and I know as a player I didn't let nerves come into my game, and it's always going to happen. It's a big game, and it's a massive incentive, and if you start thinking about everything that goes with it, the fact that you could write your way into the history books of the club, and that's a massive thing, to be able to make your mark, not me as a manager, but a group of players and our management team, our backroom staff, they actually put their name in the history books of the club. I think that is as big a compliment that you could get, and the best sort of mark you could make in your football career is not, yes, the medals are good and all that there, but it's to actually make a mark at a football club.
Yeah.
And you look around the boardrooms, to be able to say that you've been instrumental in a piece of history of the club, that's massive.
And it has to come very close, if not to the highest point in your managerial career. Potentially, Saturday is one part of it, but also Monday, the cup final.
Yeah. Well, it's strange, but at this part of the season, in a good way, we don't have to look forward to that cup final. I mean, it's for others again to look forward to. It's there. We've a business on Saturday to get 3 points and achieve our goals in the league, which is obviously the big incentive there. But we'll turn our attentions after the game. It's there. There's no doubt about it, and it's nice to be in that competition. But certainly it hasn't really crossed my mind, because my whole focus is on what we do on Saturday.
Absolutely. What I think is particularly nice at the moment is if you observe the social media, you go on the Facebook page, the Twitter page for Carrick Rangers, you're seeing fans saying, we don't care how Limavady do, we're caring about Carrick Rangers and how they perform. And there's that faith in the club, which maybe, and I don't mean this disrespect to previous managers, wasn't there, certainly not to this extent. What do you attribute that support to? Is it just performances for the players?
I think for me, I mean, I can only speak for myself, but I just have this trust of the players. I know that we've got very trustworthy players that in their own performance on their day, if they look after themselves in their performance, I can trust them to win football games, and that's a big thing. And they in turn, and again, without divulging too much, it happens in a changing room, but we've made decisions this season as a management team that probably maybe would raise eyebrows, but the players have trusted me and went with decisions that have been made, in terms of tactics or the way we play. It's worked, and that helps. But there's a two-way trust going on. I trust them to carry out what plans we have to win football games, and I know that I can trust them to go and win games. So it's a very simple two-way thing that's been, again, because of that, I think the fans, when you're winning, the fans trust the fact that even if you slip as we did at Limavady, when we get back on and win 2-3 years in the trot, I think there's a certain sense of confidence that they're placing the trust in the players.
Absolutely, and a great point. And something which needs said as well is players have come in, players have strengthened the squad there. I mean, how much freedom were you given at the start of the season? Were you aware that there was going to be an ability to bring in a few extra players?
Yeah, I mean, I think it wasn't a massive injection of revenue. I think let's be completely clear about that. We as a management team we've sort of spelled out over the last 3-4 years that I felt we've progressed over the last couple of years in terms of our squad size, in terms of the quality within the squad. And I guess I this year and the board agreed that if we just push it a wee bit more, not to put the club in any financial danger, certainly not.
No.
But if we just sort of show faith for the full season and bring in a little bit more quality and a little bit more depth, I believe we could get into the position that we find ourselves in now. And it's been proven that with great support from all facets of the club financially, and that includes the supporters, and includes the sponsors, and it includes the board and the people who work very hard to generate the money in it. And to be honest, obviously we've seen our gates growing, as the season's progressed as well. So there's a bit of revenue there where people maybe have maybe been doing other things on the side. Carrick's been doing pretty well, and they've decided to take in a Carrick game, and they've stayed. I've seen more new faces this year than I had previously. So, as I say, there hasn't been a massive injection of finance, but there certainly was more of a belief. There was more of a goal from all areas of the club. I mean, we can say we want to win the league. What does that give us? Well, we've had the backing of the club to try and obtain the domestic license to be able to take their place in the Premier League, which again was a massive incentive to bring players to the club. Because I mean, the likes of David McAlindon, who was with the Premier club, one of his first questions was, do you want to play? If you win the league, are you in a position to go up? Well, my answer this year was a resounding yes. I believe we are.
Yeah.
Whereas previous years, I couldn't say that.
I know, and that's definitely something that needs praise in terms of the way the players, because people have come through and they've fought and kept their place as much as new players have come in. And you see the likes of the new players, Noel Anderson and Bolagan, they're coming in and they're doing their job, and they're doing even better than maybe what people thought, because especially Anto, there was negative publicity there as he was coming in, and that was something which you maybe had to deal with as well. And how did you deal with that?
Again, it's just doing your homework on the character himself. I mean, I've known Anto for quite some time. From he was a young lad, and he's always had an edge about him. There's no doubt about that. And I'm not saying he's an angel. There's no way. And he's had his issues. But we've got him at a good time. We've put him in a team and not put any pressure on him to go out and display all sorts of fight and quality. We know he's a competitor. We put him in a position up front. He's enjoying it, and he was scoring goals. So he's no need to get involved in anything. And I think Anto was at a stage of his life where the bad publicity and the constant doubting of his character has probably got him to a stage where not that he wants to prove anybody wrong. He's just the type of big lad that knows that he, and I knew more importantly that he wasn't what everybody was saying about him. And any manager you talk to, Anto's been played for, Paul Miller and previous managers will tell you, he's a very, very likeable fella who will give his all for a football team, and that's all you can expect. Yeah.
I'm sure being a manager is about making tough decisions. During your time here, what would you say is one of the toughest decisions you've had to make?
There's been some, team selection is never easy for a manager. I mean, I tend to, I've had managers who I've played for in the past who probably just haven't been completely honest, and my policy's always been, I'm just going to be honest with the player. And I think they're more inclined to respect you and stick with your your plans because you've at least been honest with them. And so again, you mentioned Noel Anderson. Noel's been on the bench for a while now. I started the season every game, and was a very big reason why we were so hard to beat and were picking up points. And it was difficult for Noel to understand why he was out of the team. But I was completely honest with him, and again, without going into any detail, he showed his professionalism. He didn't enjoy being out of the team. But my goodness, he's come back in and really grabbed the opportunity to have a big say in the end of the season as he did in the start of the season.
And speaking of players that have had a big say in the team's performances, Paul Heatley, sure.
Yeah, Paul. I guess he's probably the only player within the team that you just ask to go out and play. You don't have any grand plans or tactical sort of decisions to make with Paul. Basically, you're saying to Paul, go out and help the other team. And he's been kicked about from pillar to post from day one. I remember here when he was playing for Brentwood early in the season. James Brown was trying to kick him all over the place as well. And every team he plays against has adopted the same tactics. He's elusive and he's a match winner on his own. And the more players we have in the Irish League like that, the better. But there's very few of them about. And Paul, I think, is really at home at Carrick and enjoys his football here because he's allowed to just get on with it.
Yeah. I mean, there would have been a time, a couple of years ago, even maybe earlier in the season, people would have said players like that can't stay at Carrick Rangers for very long because bigger clubs will come calling. Now it's almost getting to the point people will say, well, maybe Carrick Rangers are looking to poach off a few of the so-called bigger teams. And is it too early in the year to look at that yet? Is that more for the summertime, or have you already picked out a couple of people to add to the squad?
I mean, I've got my ideas of if we achieve our goals, what type of areas we want to strengthen. And obviously that's something that you would need to have in mind, but at the same time you can't act on it, and you can't start making phone calls or whatever. But the present squad, and Donegal Celtic went up last year with near enough the same squad, and they've stayed in the division. If not comfortably, they've held their own. There's no reason why, with a couple of additions, a few additions, we're not unrealistic here. We know that if we do achieve our goals and get into the Premier League, then it's not going to be we'd have to admit that we're not going to be going at teams every week like we've done in the Championship. We're obviously going to have to modify our game. We're obviously on the throes of getting another surface, which definitely demands a certain type of player. So there's a lot of things that need to be taken into account come the summer. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's go try and achieve our goals, win the league, and move on from that.
Absolutely. You're alluding to the 3G pitch there, which is coming in. We've seen it in the papers and talks about the amount of money going into that. I'm sure it's more about for you trying to get the players used to that surface, if and when it comes in.
Yeah.
Is that a problem, do you think?
No, I think you do need to look at the way you play on that surface. You do need to look at the type of player who's best suited to playing on that surface. But when all said and done, it's a surface that encourages people to pass the ball. There's been a lot of. I think the jury's still out as to. I think it's maybe a generation thing. I've heard some of the older managers like Ronnie McFall maybe saying that there's no way it should be played on that surface. It's as good a surface as you get. I mean, better than some of the pitches that are out there and not being looked after. Certainly better surface than what we're used to out there at this present time. And obviously we do have a little bit of a slope on our pitch. That would be sorted out. The surface itself will be all year round. And that's not even getting into the business side of things. I'm talking purely football. And for a football decision, I think training twice a week, possibly 3 times a week, on that surface in preparation for Saturday, I think it could be invaluable for us.
Yeah, I mean, you saw over the Christmas period games were being delayed. It hit Carrick Rangers as well. There was worries about even fixtures against Lauren on New Year's Day and stuff like that. But Cliftonville were able to play through that because of the way their pitch was. So surely that's an extra thing that Carrick can look forward to, more constant football maybe, holding off the weather other grounds can't sustain?
Yeah, no, it's as I say, it makes sense all round. There's no doubt about it. The club, it wasn't a decision that I was completely involved in. I was asked for my opinion on the football side of things, and I gave it a thumbs up. But others made the decision with everything in mind, and certainly with the winters we've been getting recently, it just makes sense to put a service in that's gonna be sustainable. Because you know yourself, if there's 2-3 weeks without a game, people are creatures of habit, and none more so than the football fan. If you go 3 or 4 weeks and they're finding something else to do on a Saturday, who's to say they don't stay away? Whereas we keep them coming in through the gates every Saturday, and that includes the winter months, then that can only be a good thing.
Absolutely, I'm sure the dugout will be buzzing as well with Premier League opposition coming down here week in, week out and stuff like that there, the burgers.
I mean, just speaking to some people, outside of this football club and inside the Premier, I think there would be a lot of people within Premier clubs would welcome a return to Taylor's Avenue to witness Premier League football against Carrick Rangers, because I've always felt, I've always felt, and I've tried to transfer this to the players, that this is a senior club. It's a club with very big traditions that lead to European competition, win the Irish Cup, being the Irish Cup finals, and competing against the Linfields and the Glentones and all the others. So it's not a million miles away from where we should be. And I think the players this year have probably took that on board, that if you feel like you deserve to be in the Premier League, then you'll probably be more inclined to push on to make that happen.
Absolutely, and the way that you performed as a manager has obviously put you in the spotlight in the media, and there's been rumours recently. I actually, on Facebook and Twitter earlier, asked people, if you've any questions you want to put to Stevie, get in touch with me. And on Twitter, one of the questions that kept popping up was, is he going to move to Cliftonville? Is there going to be another team taking him away from Carrick? What would you say to people who want to know the answer to that question?
Well, first of all, I haven't had any indication from another football club will included, that they've any interest in me as a manager. The fact that there's talk of it or rumour of it means that we're doing okay and we're doing something right. Because if we were languishing mid-table, there wouldn't be rumours like that. It would be someone else. But as far as my position at this club's concerned, I've turned down Premier League management jobs, or the notion of managing a Premier League team before, because I've always seen this club as somewhere that I'd like to progress. And I think the ultimate progression, well, not the ultimate progression, part of that progression is winning this league and being in the Premier League, and see, can we push on to be a Premier League club. And if that happens, I would regard my position at this club as good a position as being Cliftonville manager, or being at Linfield or Glentoran. This is a club where I've seen grow in the last sort of 4 or 5 years, and I've got an affinity with the club. And as long as everybody has the same ambitions that I have, I want to manage in the Premier League, and I want to compete for things in the Premier League. And hopefully everybody at this club does want the same. Just existence, just winning this league and existing in the Premier League wouldn't be something that I would be too content with. Over 4 or 5 years. Yes, ultimately it's getting in there first of all, then trying to solidify. But hopefully we'd always like to push on year by year.
Absolutely. That was one of the things that